When you guys started, this wasn't a thing.
No.
So how did you know? Let's do a
really.
Hey, let's do a podcast.
It was kind of just like offered to us in this very wonderful, scrappy way. This podcast network that's still thriving called Forever Dog. We started with and we're with for several years. But it was just like, hey, like we're just reaching out to a bunch of comedians in New York because we're a bunch of comedians in New York starting this podcast network. Do you want to do something? And we're like, sure.
Cool.
And we had all these different concepts and pitches for it. And then Matt was very smart and thinking, let's just do the lowest lift. And the lowest lift was the two of us
Just
being ourselves talking. Like I had ideas of like fictional, like scripted things where it was like choose your own adventure. It was like so convoluted. And then Matt was like, no, we're going to keep it very lo-fi. And that is kind of, anytime anyone asks us, like, how do you keep it going for so long? I'm just like, it's because we picked the lowest effort possible idea.
But I think because we put ourselves into it and we put identity into it and there was an authenticity to what we were doing, maybe that's why it's a notable podcast segment when really it's being done a lot of places.
And let's, this is where I want to educate my brother and even my husband who will be listening. Culture is king.
Culture is
I mean,
king.
the truth is like they razz me about my love of reality TV and the Real Housewives. I watch it all.
You watch it all?
All of it,
Love.
I mean, the gin, the New York gin babies.
Next Gen NYC.
Yes.
You watch Next Gen NYC.
I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm just like, oh, they're starting the babies off early. Oh my God.
What are they actual babies?
So they're children of housewives and like of Bravo celebrities, we call them.
They're really like the princes and princesses of Bravo now seeing if they're worth their salt when the camera's faced on them.
And they've been on the screen. It's like Austin and Aaron at 7. They were babies being shot and now they're in New York.
I think there's legislation that's being written about that. No, it is really tricky to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But it's juice. It's
juice.
It's tea.
But culture is king. And even though you're razzed for your reality tastes, like it's still, we like to think of it as like, people are like, oh, you guys balance high-low so well, but it's all horizontal to us. It's all the same.
It's all a sociological study. I was a social major and so were you.
I was,
Now, they think that sports is better reality TV. I was like, it's the same thing.
Pretty much.
This is what I've heard, though, about sports. And I would love to know more about athletics in general.
My dad was a varsity football and baseball coach for 40 years and a phys ed teacher. So growing up, like I was an athlete kind of by necessity, in my own head at the time, because I, of course, who doesn't want to impress their dad and stuff. But I credit a lot of the reason why I have a work ethic, why I know what it is to hit deadlines, why I know what it is to know how to rehearse, even as a performer, all to sports. So it's that in terms of sports culture, like I was like a late 90s Mets super freak, super fan. But those things like that is,
But there's drama in sports.
There's so much drama.
Yeah,
that's right.
If I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Absolutely.
It's the same drama and they're yelling at each other and they don't get along. Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other
he'd
talk
be a
show
great
host.
Real Housewife.
He would be.
Right.
It would be amazing.
So that's why I'm like, what's the difference? It's just, it's just sociological drama. I mean, the fact that people over seasons of working together still can't get along.
Right.
They still have the same arguments, and it's not just women, but this happens in sports too.
Right.
I find it fascinating.
It is.
It's just like, why do you keep going to dinner together? It never ends well. And don't ever vacation with her ever again.
It's gonna be an unfair reason why she deserves the best room.
And why can't we figure out this room thing?
Why can't we figure out rooms? This is something that you just figure out in your 20s and your 30s as you start traveling with your friends. But the thing that sports has that I think reality TV doesn't is like numbers. Like what I find fascinating about sports in my unfamiliarity with it is that it is really, really something, and it's really cool that you get to like look at stats and you get to compare that way. That's part of the storytelling. you know? And I wish Housewives had that.
What, some stats?
Some numbers.
You know what though?
Was
It kind of does.
the number of fights.
You notice that like they'll on Instagram, they'll release the seating chart for the reunions. So at the end of every Housewives season, there's a reunion.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, it is kind of a little bit of a caste system because if you're sitting next to Andy, that kind of means you won.
Andy Cohen, by the way.
Andy Cohen.
He's usually the host of
moderates
reunions. And you have to.
And it kind of is interesting because
It's like a ranking.
You see people talking about it like, oh, she's in the 1 spot. She's in the 2 spot. Like, look at her all the way in no man's land at the end of the couch.
Good point. Yes.
Okay.
So it does kind of have that.
There
is something in our fandom that is wanting to quantify the way someone is doing.
Well, tell us about the culture awards.
Yes.
You guys are growing up big time.
Congratulations, by the way.
Like all on Bravo. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, great segue.
Big boys.
We have been doing this fake award show, as is the best way to describe it, for several years now, live in New York. And we did Lincoln Center and then went to King's Theater in Brooklyn, which was beautiful last year. And yeah, we're on Bravo and we're on Peacock the next day on August 5th. And it started out as, again, like this low stakes bit on the podcast. We're like, we should throw our own award show where the categories are like the Eva Longoria Award for Tiny Woman Biggest Impact. Like these dumb categories.
Most amazing impact in film. And the nominees are like, I don't know, one of them is Jeff Goldblum's chest in Jurassic Park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically it's just, but then we also have like record of the year. And sometimes it's a little earnest. So it is a really good example, I think, of what has made our podcast successful is that we just follow the fun.
Yeah.
And I really think that people could give themselves a gift by just saying that sentence a little bit more, just even in the day-to-day things, just like what feels good, what feels fun.
Yeah, we need it now more than ever.
And I think that with the Culture Awards, it's like, what's fun about it is, you know, this probably won't happen, but Meryl Streep could walk out and so could Meredith Marks from Salt Lake City Housewives. You'll look that up later.